I assume most of you have heard about the escaped inmate from Pennsylvania. He escaped from prison in a pretty spectacular fashion. I think he's been on the run for what, over a week now, and still hasn't been caught. His name is Danelo Cavalcante. And recently I was on the national news just to speak from my experience from doing 10 years in prison, just about, some things about prison escapes in general and what I thought of the surveillance footage of him escaping. So let me first go ahead and play you a little bit of that segment, that news segment that I was in, because that answers a lot of questions if you haven't been following this, or if you just kind of want my thoughts on, the actual escape and just, a couple of those things related to that. And after that news segment, it's just a few minutes long, I'll go ahead and get into what happens once Cavalcante is caught, because I do firmly believe he's going to be caught. I don't think he's El Chapo. I don't think he's going to get away from all these agencies, even though it's taking them a surprisingly long time to catch him. I don't think he's going to get away forever. I think he's going to be caught pretty soon, probably right around the corner. That's just my thoughts. What happens once they do? Once they drag him back to prison, then what happens for him? That's what I'm going to tell you about. But first, here's the news segment.
His first name is Paul, but he goes by Jumpsuit Pablo on social media. He knows what it's like to be locked up for years and how inmates rack their brains trying to figure out ways to get out. Pablo, thank you for being on. Give me your take on that video and that sort of extraordinary escape.
Well, when I first saw it, I just the climb. It seemed like that's definitely not his first time trying that climb out. Now, if his prison cell in that state or anything like the ones I've been in South Carolina, he's probably practiced that in his cell a few times. That's just my thought. I saw what you were saying too about it looks like there is some mouth movement, going on between them, and just the timing and the place that other guy is standing. It looks pretty obvious, and I wouldn't be surprised if right now, whoever that guy is, he's probably already been placed on solitary and under investigation.
Let me blow that video up big. I'm going to ask our control room to, we got the little picture, but if you blow it up bigger, you can see that inmate over there. The guy on the right, we spot shadowed it. That's what Pablo's talking about. He comes over, kind of hanging out for just a hot second, right at the moment when Cavalcante does his up the wall. There's a little bit of mouth movement, and then he's off. So you suspect, look, you know how this works. Do you suspect that that's exactly what he's up to, being the lookout?
I don't know if that's it's hard to say that's exactly what it was. It could be, everyone's out there running around, and just, an escape, especially if you're not someone who's also going to be in this escape and try to get out. That's probably one of the most serious things and situations an inmate can involve himself in for, what is he doing that for? Just as a favor, to a buddy. I mean, that's most inmates are going to be minding their business and not wanting to touch that with a 10-yard stick. So, maybe they were really good friends if that is what he was doing.
It's funny because my next question was how many inmates actually agree to help someone else do them a solid? What do they get out of it? Do they get anything out of it?
I don't think they get anything out of it that would outweigh what they could get from it by just if they get caught helping with that. I mean, that's pretty serious stuff.
Can I ask you, you 10 years locked up. I can't imagine, what that's like. Do you and your fellow inmates think every day about escaping, devising ways, imagining ways, even if you're not serious about it? Is that sort of the fantasy?
Well, I'm sure it's, a common daydream in a lot of inmates' minds. Now, as far as how many take it seriously and actually consider, executing this and putting it into action, not a lot. I mean, there's more not thinking about that seriously than there are who are. But, it's, I've in my 10 years, I probably saw 4 to 5 escapes, and they never last long.
By the way, what you saw, what happens after that? Like, do they come and ask you, what'd you see? Give us your, and then you just like is it just snitches get stitches? Like, how does it work? What's the culture when you witness someone escape?
Well, you definitely, nobody sees anything, pretty much. But what they do, standard procedure, they're going to lock down the whole yard, and they really don't let anyone out until that guy's been caught. But this case is a little different because every time someone's escaped from my prisons that I've been in, they hadn't made it this long. That's what surprised me. Most inmates don't plan for what they're going to do once they get out of the prison yard. They don't think about that, and this guy, that he's made it that long, that's what surprises me. So.
And then he got the sweatshirt and the bag, and
Right.
if the reported resident who said that he heard noise downstairs flicked the lights, and that the person who broke in flicked the lights back, and the knife was missing, that guy thinks it was this guy. He got the sweatshirt, he got the bags from someone. Quick question for you, Pablo. FBI, marshals, border patrol, local law enforcement, et cetera, they're all on it and they're coordinated. Do you think this guy's screwed? Do you think he's going to make it?
I think he's definitely screwed. I mean, the longer you're in there, you lose more and more friends, people you were in touch with out there. You get less and less of a support system, maybe your mom or someone still in your corner. But I don't think he's got any help out there. And I don't think he stands a chance against all those agencies coming after him.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate your wisdom. I'm fascinated by your culture as well. Thank you for the insight. Really appreciate it, Pablo.
Thanks for having me.
So there's that. And by the way, yes, I get extremely nervous every time I'm about to go on the news. That's like my third time now. And I do it because it's an awesome experience, but it's so nerve-wracking to know you're about to be live. Maybe you could tell, maybe you couldn't. But anyways, so there's that. There's kind of my input on just the situation. Now, since that news segment, there's been at least one, maybe two more sightings of this guy, and he's gotten away. He's still out there. He's still out there. What happens when they catch him? What happens? Well, I'll tell you this. Once they catch him, because I do believe they will, and they bring him back to prison, clearly a no-brainer. He's going to solitary confinement. He is under the most extreme lockdown, extreme isolation. If he gets to come out at all, it's for a shower, and he's going to have wrist and ankle shackles that are tied to each other with a chain. The whole works. And then once he gets in the shower, they have a cage on the shower, and they'll close that cage, put a padlock on it, and there's a slot just big enough to put your hands through and get your cuffs off so you can wash. And then you're not coming out of that shower. The padlock on that shower is not getting undone until you're back in cuffs. So, no worries there while he's in isolation. Okay. And I'll throw this out there, even though it really doesn't matter, because will he get more time added for this? Yes. Like for example, in my state, I don't know exactly what the numbers are in his state, Pennsylvania, but in my state, they give you an extra 5 years automatic for an escape attempt or a successful escape. Whether it's 5 years does it matter to this guy? He has a life sentence. He stabbed his girlfriend. He has a life sentence. So, yeah, they'll give him some extra time, no doubt. But what does he care about that? And what's to stop him from doing it again? And so that's a good question. Hey, Jumpsuit, is he going to stay on isolation forever? That extreme conditions you just told us about, is that just going to be the rest of his life there? Because clearly, what does he have to lose? Like you said, isn't he going to just escape again any chance he gets? He probably will. But here's the thing. They're not going to keep him there forever. They're not. Now, no doubt I could see him for the next foreseeable, a year, 2 years. A pretty long time he's going to be in that situation. Absolutely. And I think a lot of that depends on how much the media keeps up with his conditions and his situation. I absolutely do, because one thing I know about prisons, they do not like media coverage of something that went wrong and makes them look bad. They don't want all that attention on them. They want to run their stuff how they run it in their prison, and they don't want any eyes on them. So, if they have those eyes on them, I think that will greatly influence it. So, I'm speaking from what I saw on the average basis. This guy is not the average because he's all over the national news. See, so, it's a bit tricky there, but I'd say absolutely the next year or two, he'll be considered a security threat. He'll be in that extremely isolated situation, living condition in prison. But here's the thing. They can't keep him there forever. And in my prison system, I've come across plenty of guys who had escaped or attempted escape and got caught. And now they're out there with me, who I've never attempted escape. I had 10 years. I know I'm going home one day. I'm not going to escape. So I've come across those guys, and yeah, they did get some time at it, and yeah, they did spend a year, two or more in solitary confinement after that, until they were considered, or no longer considered a security threat, and we're going to let you go. If you try it again, you'll go back. But there's a limited space in prisons. Prisons are overcrowded all over the nation. They can't get enough staff. That's partly, if you want my opinion, that's partly why. Not even partly, major. I don't know how to say it. Sorry. That's the main reason why this guy was able to escape. They don't have enough manpower for that to even be an area that's not guarded. That little back at like that's. But I can't even blame the prison because it's hard to get staff hired these days. It's a big problem in my state prison system, and I imagine it's like that everywhere. People don't want to work in prison. It's not a great work environment. It's just not. And the turnover rate is just, people come and they're ready to quit after 3 or 4 days, but they stay for the 2 weeks to pick their check up and then they leave. It's hard. They're understaffed. They don't have the manpower. So, but on top of that, it's overcrowded with inmates, and there's always going to be a new, bigger, more fresh, more recent, more current security threat of an inmate than this guy, who, if he's been there a year or 2 years and he's just been sitting on his cell twiddling his thumbs, everyone's kind of just like forgot about that and gotten over it. And there's guys who are doing stuff right now. They need that space. And they're going to be like, hey, Cavalcante, you're going to Gen Pop. Don't try anything funny. You're going back. And he'll go back. He will go back. They need the space. Simple as that. They can't keep everyone there forever who ever has posed a security threat problem. They can't. They don't have space. So he will eventually. It's going to be quite a while. Everyone will probably have forgotten all about this by the time he goes back into general population, but he will one day go back into Gen Pop. That being said, I truly believe he'll be caught, I truly believe he'll try it again. And that will be very interesting to see years down the line. There's my thoughts. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got something from it. Insight, information. Thanks for watching.